In this video, we are going to learn intermediate linking words to help you build longer, more advanced sentences. But before we begin, look at this sentence. Although it was raining, but we still went outside. It sounds almost right, but there is one small mistake hiding inside it. Remember this sentence. We will come back to it. With the concepts we learn in this video, you will be able to spot the mistake. The video is divided into chapters. If you want to review any specific chapter, you can use the scroll bar below. Let's go. We'll start with the words that show a contrast, because this is where most mistakes happen. A contrast is when the second idea is a surprise or goes against the first idea. First word, however. We use however to show a contrast between two full sentences. It is a clean, polite way to say but. Listen, I wanted to go to the beach. However, it started to rain. Notice two things. However starts a new sentence, and there is a small pause, a comma right after it. First, a full stop, then however, then a comma. Remember this structure. One more. The phone looks beautiful. However, it is very expensive. So, the structure is full stop, then however, then a comma. Now the next two words work in a completely different way. Although and even though. These two do the same job as however. They show a contrast. But they join both ideas inside one single sentence. Listen. Although it was raining, we still went outside. See how both ideas are in one sentence? Although sits in front of the surprising part, the rain. And the two halves are joined by a comma in the middle. You can also flip it around. We still went outside although it was raining. Same meaning. When although moves to the middle, you don't need the comma. Even though means the same as although. It is just stronger. You use it when the contrast is bigger, more surprising. Even though I was very tired, I finished all my work. The tiredness was strong, but the work still got done. Even though pushes hard on that surprise. Similar to although, you can structure the sentence in two ways. We can say, even though I was very tired, I finished all my work. Or, I finished all my work even though I was very tired. Notice that it has the same structure as although. The only difference is that it is stronger than although. Now, remember the sentence from the very start? Although it was raining, but we still went outside. Can you feel the problem now? Although already shows the contrast. But also showed the contrast. So the sentence is doing the same job twice. You only need one. You say either. Although it was raining, we went outside. Or it was raining, but we went outside. Never both together. That single rule will fix one of the most common mistakes in English. One contrast word per contrast. Quick check. Which word fits here, however or although? Dash, the food was cold, I ate it. It is although. Both ideas are in one sentence joined by a comma. Although the food was cold, I ate it. Good. Well, now that contrast is clear, let's look at cause and effect. The reason something happens and the result. For the reason, the why, we use since. Since it was late, we took a taxi. Why did we take a taxi? Since it was late. Since gives the reason. You can also put it in the middle. We took a taxi since it was late. Same meaning, reason at the end. Now the other side, the result. For that we have therefore, and that's why. Therefore shows the result and it sounds formal. It is used for writing, emails, or exams. The road was closed. Therefore, we were late. Just like however, it starts the second sentence and takes a comma right after. That's why does the same job, but it is relaxed and friendly. The one you actually use when speaking. The road was closed. That's why we were late. So you have a choice now. Formal writing, reach for therefore, talking to a friend. That's why sounds much more natural. Here is the neat part. Since and therefore describe the same situation from opposite ends. Since the road was closed, we were late. Reason is in focus. The road was closed, therefore we were late. Result is in focus. Same story. You just choose where to put the why. Let's move on. Sometimes you don't want contrast or reasons. You just want to add more information. For that we have in addition and as well as. In addition adds a second point and it sounds neat and formal. The hotel was cheap. In addition, it was close to the beach. Again, new sentence, comma right after. You're starting to see a family here. However, therefore, in addition, all behave the same way. As well as also adds information, but it works inside one sentence. It joins two things together. The hotel was cheap as well as close to the beach. Or with two nouns. She speaks French as well as Spanish. It means she speaks both. So, in addition starts a fresh sentence. And as well as links two things inside one sentence. Remember the words and also? We covered those in part 1 of this series. If you want to review those and see exactly how they work, the link is popping up on the screen right now and I will put it at the end of this video too. Let's look at how all 4 of these words can say the same idea. Imagine we want to tell someone about the languages a girl speaks. Watch how we can build the same idea 4 different ways. She speaks French and Spanish. She speaks French. She also speaks Spanish. She speaks French as well as Spanish. She speaks French. In addition, she speaks Spanish. All 4 are correct and they all mean the same thing. So, how do you choose? And is the most commonly used word. You will use it and hear it the most. Use it for your normal, everyday speaking. It is fast, simple, and always correct. You can use also when you want your extra fact to stand out a little more, usually by putting it in its own sentence. The words as well as and in addition are used less in spoken English. They are mostly used for writing. You can use them if you are writing a business email, a university essay, or an IELTS test. And just like that, your vocabulary has leveled up. You have done a very good job today by learning all these new words. Let's make sure that we don't forget them. Let's practice. I will say a sentence with a missing word. You call out the word that fits. I will give you a few seconds, then the answer. Pause the video anytime you need longer. Ready? Let's go. 1. It was raining. We decided to stay home. Formal word for a result. Therefore, the rain is the cause, staying home is the result. And it starts a new sentence with a comma. It was raining. Therefore, we decided to stay home. 2. He was very rich. He was not happy. Although, or even though if you want it stronger. Both ideas sit in one sentence and the second one is a surprise. Although he was very rich, he was not happy. 3. I was hungry. I made a sandwich. The friendly spoken word for a result. That's why. I was hungry. That's why I made a sandwich. 4. She reads a book every night. She still watches one show. Formal word that adds a point. In addition, she reads a book every night. In addition, she still watches one show. 5. It was getting dark. We walked home quickly. This gives the reason. Since it was getting dark, we walked home quickly. How did you do? If a few were tricky, that is completely normal. Go back to that chapter and listen once more. These words only stick with practice. Before we do the recap, I have a quick challenge for you. Write one sentence about your week using although and one using since. Put them in the comments so we can all read them. Done? Great. Here is everything in one screen. Take a screenshot if it helps. However, shows a contrast, starts a new sentence with a comma. Although and even though show a contrast inside one sentence. Even though is stronger. Since gives the reason, the why. Therefore shows the result, formal. That's why shows the result, casual and spoken. In addition, adds a point, starts a new sentence. As well as, adds a thing inside one sentence. And the one rule to remember above all, one contrast word per contrast. Never although and but in the same breath. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If there is a topic in English that confuses you, tell us in the comments. We will make a full video on it. If this helped you, please like the video and subscribe for more. And share it with a friend who is learning English too. See you in the next lesson.